Welcome back. After installing Node.js, let's keep going. I'm going to cd to the directory that contains my project. I'm going to do ls. Here are my files right now: index.html, script.js, styles.css. Now, what we're going to do right now is create an npm package. So we're going to generate the file called package.json. We're going to need that so we can install Express, which is the framework we're going to use to make the server. So first of all, do npm space init to create a package.json file. It's going to ask you for some fields. I'm going to leave the package name as is. The version, we're going to leave at 1. You can change it if you want. You can give a description. I'm not going to give it. Entry point, I'm going to say, let's say server.js for now. It could be anything. Test command, no test command yet. Get repository, no. Keywords, no. I'm going to just press enter. After you can say your name or alias there. License, any license you want. I'm just going to leave as is. This okay, yes. After that, you should have now package.json file in your project directory. Let's check it out. Here's the file. With that, we can start installing new packages from Node, from npm. So let's do Express. Before doing that, I'm just going to show you the page for Express. Back to the browser. This is the page for the framework Express, expressjs.com. This is the framework we're going to use to build our server-side API. Okay, so let's go. Back to the terminal. I'm going to say npm install space express. After that, you should check your package.json. Under dependencies, you should now see Express with the corresponding version that was installed. Now let's create a file called server.js. Now we're gonna build a very simple server that's not gonna do anything yet. So the first thing we need to do is to require the Express package. This is like an import statement. So I'm gonna say const express require express. Let me use double quotes here instead, because I see I was using double quotes in the client-side code here in script.js. So to be consistent, I'm also going to use double quotes here. But you can choose single quotes if you want. So we got Express. Now what's doing here is requiring that package Express so we can use it. I put it in a variable. I'm going to call an express.app, and that's going to create an Express app. Let's put that in a variable and call it app. Now I'm going to say app.get, and the first argument was slash, and we're going to pass res arrow function there. I'm just going to say res.send message everything is working fine. Let's see. And then after that, I'm going to do app listen. I'm going to give it a port to listen to. Let's do, say, 3000. And if you want to give a callback here saying that the server is listening, you can say console log server is listening on port 3000. Save it. Let's test it out, and then later we'll explain what's going on. Go back to the terminal. You're gonna run node space server.js. And I committed some mistake here. Express.app is not a function. I think I know what it is. Let's see. There you go. I don't need to say .app, sorry. I just say express and call it like so. Okay, so this detail. Anyway, the server is now listening in port 3000. Let's go to the browser, open a new, say localhost 3000. And now you're gonna get this text in JSON format saying message, everything's working fine. Let's work out what happened here. So first I require express. Put that in a variable so I can reference that. When I call express as a function, it gives me back an express application. I call it app. With that object, I can call and define routes. So when you hit certain routes on the server, it's gonna do something. In this case, the route is slash. This is the root route. This just means you go to the domain, colon the port, slash. The slash is optional there. You could have slash if you want. But it's gonna redirect without a slash. So when it hits this root route, it's gonna call this function. This is an anonymous function that I defined. 2 parameters, rec for request, res for response. Now I can use the response object res to send back a response. So when the client requests a get to the slash route, I reply with doing this, and I say a response, please send this message response. The response is a JavaScript object, hence the JSON notation there. With the property message having the value, everything is working fine. When I do app.listen, I tell the server to listen on port 3000. That means it's gonna run the server and it's gonna listen for requests at this port. Localhost is my localhost. Could be 127.0.0. So console log will show us the message in the terminal when I start the server. Okay. One detail I want to make sure here is if you want to check, we're going to be doing this a lot when working with the server side. You want to check the network tab. Let's run this again. And you can see the request is here in this list. And let's click on that. This is the preview of the response. This is the response raw. Click on headers to see the request URL. You can see it's on the slash endpoint here. You can see slash. This is the request method, HTTP GET. Status code, that's 200 OK that we got. That's the typical code for a successful response. Now for the response headers, we got content type, application JSON. That's fine. That's actually what we wanted. I just wanted to check that the content type header for the response is application/JSON, because our server is going to serve in the format called JSON, JavaScript Object Notation. Very common format to serve data through a server-side API. API means Application Programming Interface. It's like the means we can use to get to the database. So it's an interface that we can ask it to do something for us to read or write data, or update it if you want, or delete it. Okay, go back to text editor. So we just ran the server. Nothing is really, that's not doing much right now. We can start by making a route. Let's go back to our app here in the front end. Let's do the following. This is going to be our next goal in the following lessons. Right now we have this data right here for each entry, but that's a draft written purely in the HTML document index.html. What we want to do right now is let's fetch this data from the server side and populate our site with that data as we go into the site. Now, this is not going to involve any database yet. So we are actually moving that fake data to the server side in the Node.js file. Okay. We're just going to hard code an array of objects, and each object will represent an entry. And we're going to take that and send back to the client as the response. When we get that done, the next step would be do the database part with the actual data being persisted there. But let's do one step at a time. So we'll see you in the next lesson.